Vim Saraswatim Vyasam Tado Jayamudhirayet Nashtaprayesha Vadreshu Nityam Bhāgavata-sevayā Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Hri Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Can someone confirm if you see the screen?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 27. Attack by Caṇḍavega on the city of King Purañjana, the character of Kālakanyā. Narada Uvacha Ittam Puranjanam Sagdryag Vashamaniya Vibramaihi Puranjane Maharaja Reme Ramayati Patim. The great sage Narada continued, My dear king, after bewildering her husband in different ways and bringing him under her control, the wife of King Puranjana gave him all satisfaction and enjoyed sex life with him. Shri Saraja Mahishim Rajan Sushnatam Ruchirananam Krita Swastyaya Nama Triptam Abhyanandad Upagatam. The queen took her bath and dressed herself nicely with all auspicious garments and ornaments. After taking food and becoming completely satisfied, she returned to the king. Upon seeing her beautifully decorated, attractive face, the king welcomed her with all devotion. Tayopagadah parirabdakandaro raho numantrer apakshra chetanaha nakalaram ho bubude duratyayam diva nisheti pramada parigraha. Queen Puranjani embraced by the king, and the king also responded by embracing her shoulders. In this way, in a solitary place, they enjoyed joking words. Thus, King Puranjana became very much captivated by his beautiful wife and deviated from his good sense. He forgot that the passing of days and nights meant that his span of life was being reduced without profit. शयान उन्नत मदो महामना महार्ह तल्पे महर्षि भुजोपदिः ताम एव वीरो मनुते परम यतस् तमोभिभूतो न निजं परम च यत्. In this way, increasingly overwhelmed by illusion, King Puranjana, although advanced in consciousness, remained always lying down with his head on the pillow of his wife's arms. In this way, he considered woman to be his ultimate life and soul. Becoming thus overwhelmed by the mode of ignorance, he could not understand the meaning of self realization, whether regarding his own self or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. तयैवं रममानशश काम कश्मलचेतसः क्षणार्धम् इव राजेन्द्र व्यतिक्रान्तं नवं वयः. My dear King Prachina Barishat, in this way King Puranjana, with his heart full of lust and sinful reactions, began to enjoy sex with his wife, and in this way his new life and youth expired in half a moment. तस्याम् अजनयत् पुत्रान् पुरञ्जन्यां पुरञ्जनः शतानि एकादश विराड् आयुषोर्धं यथात्यगात्. The great sage Narada then addressed King Prachina Barhishat, O one whose lifespan is great, Virat, in this way King Puranjana begot 1,100 sons within the womb of his wife Puranjani. However, in this business he passed away half of his lifespan. Duhitra dashottara shatam pitramatra yashaskarihi शीलौदार्य गुणोपेताः Purañjana Prajapate. O Prajapati, King Prachina Barishat. In this way, King Puranjana also begot 110 daughters. All of these were equally glorified like the father and mother. Their behavior was gentle and they possessed magnanimity and other good qualities. स पञ्चालपतिः पुत्रान् पितृवंशा विवर्धनान् दारैः संयोजयामास दुहित्रिः sadrishairvaraihi. After this, King Puranjana, king of Panchala country, in order to increase the descendants of his parental family, married his sons with qualified wives and married his daughters with qualified husbands. Putranam cha bhavan putra ekaikasya ekaikasya satam shatam yairvai pauranjano vamsha panchaleshu samedhitah. Of these many sons, each produced hundreds and hundreds of grandsons. In this way, the whole city of Panchala became overcrowded by the sons and grandsons of King Puranjana. तेषु तद्रिक्तहारेषु गृहकोशानुजीविषु निरूढेन ममत्वेन विषयेष्व अन्वबध्यता. These sons and grandsons were virtually plunderers of King Puranjana's riches, including his home, treasury, servants, secretaries, and all other paraphernalia. Puranjana's attachment for these things was very deep rooted. ईजे च क्रतुभिर्घोरैर्दीक्षितः पशुमारकैः देवापितॄन् भूतपतीन् नानाकामो यथा भवान्. The great sage Narada continued, My dear king Prachinabarishat, like you, King Puranjana also became implicated in so many desires. Thus he worshipped demigods, forefathers, and social leaders with various sacrifices which were all very ghastly because they were inspired by the desire to kill animals. युक्तेष्व एव प्रमत्तस्य कुटुम्बासक्तचेतसः आससाद सवैकालो यो प्रियः प्रिययोषिताम्. Thus King Puranjana, being attached to fruitive activities, karma kandya, as well as kith and kin, and being obsessed with polluted consciousness, eventually arrived at that point not very much liked by those who are overly attached to material things. Caṇḍavega iti ख्यातो गन्धर्वाधिपतिर्नृप गन्धर्वास्त्स्य बलिनः षष्टि उत्तरशतत्रयम्. O king, in Gandharva Loka there is a king named Caṇḍavega. Under him there are 360 very powerful Gandharva soldiers. Gandharvasya tadrasir asya maithunyascha sita sitaha परिवृत्यां विलुम्पन्ति सर्वकामा विनिर्मिताम्. Along with Chandavega were as many female Gandharvis as there were soldiers, and all of them repetitively plundered all the paraphernalia for sense gratification. Te Chandaveg te Chandaveganucharaha Puranjana Puram Yada Hartum Arebhir Tat Bhire Tatra Pratyashedat Shedat Prajagaraha. When King Gandharva Raja Chandavega and his followers began to plunder the city of Puranjana, a snake with 5 hoods began to defend the city. Sa saptabih satyar eko vimsatyascha satam samaha Puranjana puradhyaksho Gandharvairyujudhe bali. The 5 hooded serpent, the superintendent and protector of the city of King Puranjana, fought with the Gandharvas for 100 years. He fought alone with all of them, although they numbered 720. क्षीयमाने स्वसम्बन्धे एकस्मिन् बहुभिर्युधा चिन्तां परां जगामार्तः स राष्ट्रपुरबान्धवः. Because he had to fight alone with so many soldiers, all of whom were great warriors, the serpent with 5 hoods became very weak. Seeing that his most intimate friend was weakening, King Puranjana and his friends and citizens living within the city all became very anxious. स एव पुर्यां मधुभोक् पञ्चालेषु स्वपार्षदैः उपनीतं बलिं गृह्णन् स्त्रीजितो नाविदद्भयम्. King Purañjana collected taxes in the city known as Panchala and thus was able to engage in sexual indulgence. Being completely under the control of women, he could not understand that his life was passing away and that he was reaching the point of death. कालस्य दुहिता काचित् त्रिलोक त्रिलोकीं वरम् इच्छति पर्यटन्ति न बर्हिष्मन् Pratyanandata Kaschana. My dear King Prachina Barishat, at this time the daughter of formidable time was seeking her husband throughout the three worlds. Although no one agreed to accept her, she came. दौर्भाग्येनात्मनो लोके विश्रुता दुर्भाग्येति सा या तुष्टा राजर्षयेतु वृता दात् पूरवेवरम्. The daughter of time, Jara, was very unfortunate. Consequently, she was known as Durbhaga, ill fated. However, she was once pleased with a great king, and because the king accepted her, she granted him a great benediction. कदाचित् अटमाना सा ब्रह्मलोकान् महीगतं महीं वव्रे बृहत् व्रतं मां तु जानति काममोहिताम्. When I once came to this earth from Brahmaloka, the highest planetary system, the daughter of time, wandering over the universe, met me. Knowing me to be an avowed brahmachari, she became lusty and proposed that I accept her. Once again. Four. कदाचित् अतमाना सा ब्रह्मलोकान् महीं गतं वव्रे ब्रभ्रद्व्रतं मां तु जानति काममोहिता. When I once came to this earth from Brahmaloka, the highest planetary system, the daughter of time, wandering over the universe met me. Knowing me to be an avowed brahmachari, she became lusty and proposed that I accept her. मयि संरभ्य विपुला मदात् चापं सुदुःसहं स्थातुम् अर्हसि नैकत्र मद याज्य विमुखो मुने. The great sage Narada continued, when I refused to accept her request, she became very angry at me and cursed me severely. Because I refused her request, she said that I would not be able to stay in one place for a long time. ततो विहत संकल्पा कन्यका यवनेश्वरं मयोपदिष्टम् आसाद्य वव्रे वव्रे नाम्ना भयं पतिम्. After she was thus disappointed by me, with my permission she approached the king of Yavanas, whose name was Bhaya or fear, and she accepted him as her husband. ऋषभं यवान ऋषभं यवन नाम sorry ऋषभं यवना नाम त्वां वृणे वीरेप्सितं पतिं संकल्पस्त्वयि भूतानां कृतः किल न ऋष्यति. Approaching the king of Yavanas, Kālakanyā addressed him as a great hero, saying, my dear sir, you are the best of the untouchables. I am in love with you and I want you as my husband. I know that no one is baffled if he makes friends with you. द्वाव इमाम अनुस्योचन्ति बालाव असद अवग्रहौ यल्लोक शास्त्रो शास्त्रोपनतं नरति न तद इच्छति. One who does not give charity according to the customs or injunctions of the scriptures and one who does not accept charity in that way are considered to be in the mode of ignorance. Such persons follow the path of foolishness of the foolish. Surely they must lament at the end. Ato bhajasva mam badra bhajanti me dayam kuru etam etavan paurusho dharmo yadartam anukampate. Kālakanyā continued, O gentle one, I am now present before you to serve you. Please accept me and thus show me mercy. It is a gentleman's greatest duty to be compassionate upon a person who is distressed. Kalakana continued, O gentle one, I am now present before you to serve you. Please accept me and thus show me mercy. It's a gentleman's greatest duty to be compassionate upon a person who is distressed. कालकन्योदितो वाचो निशम्य यवनेश्वरः चिकीर्षुर्देवगुह्यं स संस्थितं ताम् अभाषत. After hearing the statement of Kālakanyā, daughter of time, the king of Yavanas began to smile and devise a means for executing his confidential duty on behalf of Providence. He then addressed Kālakanyā as follows. मया निरूपितस्तुभ्यं पतिरात्मा समाधिना नाभिनन्दन्ति लोकोऽयं त्वाम् abhadram asammatam. The king of Yavanas replied, after much consideration, I have arrived as a husband for you. Actually, as far as everyone is concerned, you are inauspicious and mischievous. Since no one likes you, how can anyone accept you as his wife? त्वम् अव्यक्तगतिर्भुङ्क्ष्व लोकं कर्म विनिर्मितं याहि मे प्रतनायुक्ता प्रजानाशं प्रणेशस् प्रण प्रणेष्यसि. This world is a product of fruitive activities. Therefore, you may imperceptibly attack people in general. Helped by my soldiers, you can kill them without opposition. प्रज्वारोऽयं मम भ्राता त्वं च मे भगनी भव चरामि उभाभ्यां लोकेऽस्मिन् अव्यक्तो भीमसैनिकः. The king of the Yavanas continued, here is my brother Prajvara. I now accept you as my sister. I shall employ both of you as well as my dangerous soldiers to act imperceptibly within this world. Oh my God. Here we end this 27th chapter from the fourth canto called Attack by Caṇḍavega on the city of King Purañjana. So many characters. Let's take a bit time to understand them because this is very important. Why Narad Muni is telling this story to King Prachina Barishat is to wake him up. We also need to wake up. We are in a slumber, and in this slumber, we are enjoying the world like anything, and we also need to understand the implication of it, the reality of it, whether it is sweet or bitter. So here Narad Muni continues to speak. He is saying, he is already saying, bewildering her husband in different ways and bringing him under control, the wife of King Purajana gave him all satisfaction. In the purport, it is read, a sinful life can be counteracted by various processes of religion such as yajna, vrata, and dana. That is the performance of sacrifices, the taking of vow for some religious ritual, and giving charity. So these are important elements in our sadhana. We are in bhakti, but we are sadhana bhakti. Means we need to regulate ourselves, but we can't just simply go and do only bhakti. It is very difficult. We can do, yeah, offering a flower, a fruit, a water to the Lord is not difficult, but we need what? We need to uh, have the Yengan padale. Okay. Huh. So that is the reason here yajna, yeah, sacrifice, which is sankirtan yajna, chanting of the holy name, japa, vrata, like fasting on ekadasis or some festivals, and dana, charity. What is the best form of charity? Yeah, we can We know charity, it's not just only food. Charity is prasadam. Even if you see any temple in India, annadana is not just one is cooking and just feeding the people because people are in need of food. People are in need of prasadam. People are in need of mercy. And that is what happens. So bhakti we can very easily practice if we know these three things are needed. Yajna means always be absorbed in the remembering of the Lord, by performing Sankirtan Yajna. Vrata, to regulate ourselves. Third one is Dana, to engage in charity. Charity of what is mentioned, later it will come. So here we talk about systematic family life, uh, and irresponsible sinful life. If you see, if we follow proper standards, then we are not irresponsible. But without purification, sinful life continues. This is what is written. In other words, a systematic life, as enjoined in the Vedas, I can share maybe my screen so that if you would like to follow, I've just made some notes to myself. Maybe it's worth. We can let me know if you see now.
Yes, Rohit.
Mhm. Here it is said, however, if a husband becomes too much attracted by his wife and forgets his duty, the implications of materialistic life will again resume. So Srila Rupa Goswami is saying, Anasaktyasya Vishayan Yadhartam Upayunjataha Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yuktam Vairagyam Uchyate. Huh? So, what is the best course of action is that while we are in our day to day, we are if we are married, then we are becoming proper grihasthas. How yukta vairagya muchati means not to just leave everything and run to the forest, which will not serve the purpose, but to leave the material attachments. How can we do that? By engaging in spiritual activities. Huh? Here is it. Prapanchikataya buddhya hari sambandhi vastuna mumukshubi parityago vairagyam falgu kataye. If one is giving up things, things should be accepted for the Lord's service, not for one's personal sense gratification. If one accepts something without attachment and accepts it because it is related to Krishna, one's renunciation is called Yukta Vairagyam. That is best. Otherwise, the next verse, Prapanchikataya Buddhya. If whatever is favorable for rendering service of the Lord should be accepted and remaining should be ignored. This is what is said. The whole world is captivated by two modes of material nature, Rajoguna and Tamoguna. Uh, and so one should be very careful. By performing Bhakti Yoga, a man can be raised to the platform of goodness. Huh? So that is what the conclusion is, that a household life is better than a sinful life, devoid of responsibility. But if in the household life the husband becomes subordinate to wife, involvement in materialistic life again becomes prominent. In this way, a man's material body becomes enhanced. Because of this, according to Vedic system, after a certain age, man is recommended to abandon his family life and enter into vanaprastha and sannyas. So and then then the queen, this further, the queen took her bath and she has welcomed the king, and in that way they spend time. And of course, this is Prabhupada is explaining. It's not something. It's not happening now. We can also see what's happening now was happening that time. And then a beautiful wife is certainly enlivening to her husband, but at the same time is the cause of degradation. The word pramada means enlivening as well as maddening. Mada means mad. Pramada means to fall, a prey of madness, maddening. Um, yeah, a beautiful wife. I think did we cover this? Okay. So this is what, and then here we have this dharmasva anustishta pumsam vishvaksena kathashuya notpadayat yadi ratim shrama eva hi kevalam. Are we reading the right chapter? This is 17, right? Oh, 27. I'm sorry. So yeah, what happens is if we do not take to Krishna consciousness, if after performing one's duty, uh, after performing one's occupational duty very perfectly, one does not make progress in Krishna consciousness, then what is it called? Shrama eva hi kevalam. Na utpadayet ratim. Yadi rati, if attachment to Krishna, Vishwak Sena Katha Shuya, after that, if one is not having taste to Krishna consciousness, it should be understood that he has simply wasted his time in valueless labor. And then, in this way, increasingly overwhelmed by illusion, what is Purañjana doing? He is totally captivated. In this way, he considered women to be the ultimate life and soul. Becoming thus overwhelmed by the mode of ignorance, he could not understand the meaning of self realization. Mahat sevan dwaram ayur vimuktes tamodwaram yoshitam sangi sangam. This tamodwaram, the door of ignorance, mode of ignorance is yoshitam sangi sangam mahantam te samachitta prashanta vimanyavaha suhrit sadavoye. It is one can attain the path of liberation from bondage only by rendering service to a highly advanced spiritual personality. These personalities are impersonalists and devotees, and this is what is described here. And then Mahatmas, I'm just trying to go. Yeah, here we understand who is a Mahatma. Mahatmas are equipoised. They do not see any difference between one living entity and another. They are very peaceful and are fully engaged in devotional service. Such people are known as Mahatmas. Hmm. So they, yeah. And then tayaivam ramamanasya kama kashmala chetasaha. Kashmala means sinful. Kashmala chetasa means filled, heart is filled with this. Kshanardham iva Rajendra Vyatikrantam Nava Vayaha. What is happening in this way? They were busy enjoying life. Expired. What happened in the meantime? Vyatikrantam Nava Vayam. So they have lost half of their life. Youth is expired. In this regard, here we can see Sri Govinda Das Thakur is writing, He Dhana Yavana Putra Parijana, Ite ki Ache Parititi Re, Kamala Dalajala Jivana Talamala, Bhajaham Hari Pada Niti Re. So, this is coming, I mean, I really appreciate this wonderful, bhajan or poem from Govinda Das Thakur. He says, Bhajaho re mana Sri Nanda Nandana Abhaya Charanara Vindare. Durlabha Manava Janame Satsangi. This human life is very rare. Taraho e bhava sindhure. Sita Atapa Bata Parishana E Dina Jamini Jagire. This Dina Jamini is night, Yamini. Vifale Sevinu Krupana Durajana Chapala Sukhalabha Lagire. For temporary happiness, we are struggling a lot. And here comes this next verse. E Dhana Yavana Putra Parijana. It is that this wealth, Yavana, youth, Putra, family, Parijana, all the well-wishers or people around. Ite ki achi paratitire, Kamala dalajala jivana talamala. Just like water on the leaf of a lotus leaf, it is, we can see how easily it slips. Jivana talamala, we are so much disturbed by everything that's happening. There is no bliss. In this verse, that there is no bliss in the enjoyment. What is the best thing is bhajahu haripada nitire. It is said, yeah. There is further explanation. Anyway, this is all explanation about what is in for us to help understand what difficult life we are leading. Kama kashmala chetasaha. So one should be very regulated, otherwise one loses. These laws and scriptures from the Manu Samhita are meant for human beings. As such, if one violates these laws, he becomes sinful. The conclusion is that unrestricted sense enjoyment means sinful activities. Illicit sex is sex that violates the laws given in the scriptures. When one violates the laws of scriptures, he commits sinful activities. One who engaged in sinful activities cannot change in consciousness. So, the condition of Prachina Parishat, this Purañjana is mentioned here. In this way, King Purañjan begot 1100 sons, and thus passed half of his life. This is what happened. And then, not only that, as will be evident from the next verse, Puranjan not only got 1100 sons but also 110 daughters. And checking, anyway, this is going into detail. As I said, the purpose of Prabhupada is giving very zoom in understanding of that particular verse and how we should deal. So, in the flow, we can pick up few important points saying what is the effects of it. Uh, um, and after that, yeah, this is what happens. And yeah, so after this King Puranjan, king of Panchala country, in order to increase the descendants of his parental family, he engaged in, this is what we can see also. It is said the offerings of oblations in the name of Lord Vishnu is called Pindodak, and it is necessary that the descendants of the family offer Pind to the forefathers. Not only was Puranjan, the king of Panchal, satisfied in his own sex life, but he arranged for sex life of his all sons and daughters. And Putranam cha bhavan putra ekaikasya shatam, and they also expanded the population. In that way, there is always this, and here as there is mention of karma kanda, jnana kanda, kevala, vishera bhanda. Bhanda is a pot, vishera means poison. So whether one is doing karma kanda or jnana kanda, both are same. Amrita baliya yeba kaya, nana yoni sada fire. If one is not understanding the goal of life, he is just going in from one body to the other body. Nana yoni sada fire. Kadarya bhakshana kare. And then Tara Janma Adah Pate Yaya. Such a person eats all kinds of nonsense and becomes condemned by his activities of so called sense gratification. This is what is described about Grahamedi, and there is further explanation. And then here the sons, grandsons, they start plundering. This is what happens. Initially, the we see that the purpose of Grihastha ashram is, after all, if someone says, what is the purpose? Is to beget children. And okay, after the children are born, what are they going to do? Then they start expanding themselves. Either they increase the property, or they may kshinam, they may consume the property, and in this way Puranjan attachment of these things was so much that, and then rikta hareshu, plunderers of wealth. In this way, the progeny, we can see that eventually that can become plunderers of wealth. Thus it became very difficult for living entity to extricate himself from his entanglement. This is what happens. Because of that, idam adya maya labdham imam prapye manoratham idam ashidam apime. This is in the Bhagavad Gita, 16th chapter. It is mentioned that the demonic people think in this way: oh, so much wealth do I have today, I will gain more according to my schemes. So much is mine now, and it will increase in future. More and more. He is my enemy, and I have killed him. And my other enemies will kill also me. So let me protect. So all these thoughts are of people who are not interested in God consciousness. In this way, people engage in various laborious activities, and and their attachment for body, home, family, nation, and community becomes more and more deep rooted. And because of that, so Narad Muni is saying, like you, King Puranjana, also became implicated. Here, indirectly, Narad Muni is discussed, you can see in the purport. In this verse, yeah, he slowly says, hey, whatever I'm telling about Puranjana, the character is actually about you. To give lessons to King Prajna Parishad. Actually, the entire description of figuratively describing the activities of King Prachina Parishad only. In this verse, Narada frankly says, like you, Yatha Bhavan, which indicates that King Purañjana is than none other than King Prachina Parishat. So therefore he is describing the life of Puranjana. Hmm? Why? Because being a great Vaishnava, Narada wanted to stop animal killing in sacrifices. He knew that if he tried to stop the king from performing sacrifices, the king would not hear him. I don't know. I saw Anup Prabhu, if you are still there. Yesterday when we were walking, I was saying, yeah, we can't just think what we want to tell. We have to think what others can understand. Hmm? Therefore, he is describing the life of Puranjan. But in this verse, he first discloses the intention, although not fully, by saying like you. Hmm. So, and it goes, yeah, this all telling about animal killing, because Narad Muni somehow want to stop, because if one is losing the quality of compassion and engages in killing of animals, either for eating or for sacrifice or whatever, killing of animals, Lord doesn't appreciate, because Lord, yeah, is um, very soft hearted, yeah, and also very compassionate, and everything belongs to him, all animals, plants, everything, all the creation belongs to him, so he cannot see violence. Jugupsitam, yeah, this anyway, this goes further. Jugupsitam dharma krite nu shashatam स्वभाव रक्तस्य महान व्यतिक्रमः यद वाक्यतो धर्म इति तरह स्थितो न मन्यते तस्य निवारणम जनः. The people in general are naturally inclined to enjoy, and you have encouraged them in that way in the name of religion. This is very condemned and is quite unreasonable. So one should be very careful that what we are doing is authorized. It's not just because animal killing is mentioned somewhere we can do. We have to understand what is the purpose. Animal sacrifice under the name of religion is conducted by the influence of tamogun. Yeah, anyway, if one wants to know about animal killing, why we shouldn't do, yeah, refer to 11, verse number 11. And then, thus the king, being attached to his fruitive activities as well as his kith and kin, and being obsessed with polluted consciousness, eventually arrived at that point, not very much liked by those who were very attached. So he thinks that now he has created a big empire so that everyone can enjoy, and that will give him great happiness. But when this plundering business goes on, and then he becomes old, finally arrived at the point of old age. In the old age, the senses lose their strength. And although an old man desires to enjoy his senses and especially sex life, he is very miserable because his instruments of enjoyment no longer function. So, uh, there is some foolish Russian scientists also claim that they are going to make man immortal through scientific advancement. Under the leadership of such crazy fellows, civilization is going on. This is what. So, yeah, yeah, this is the mentality exhibited by Hiranyakashipu. But when he tried to, he was ripped. When the time was ripe, the Lord personally killed within a second. And now we are talking about Caṇḍavega. Caṇḍavega, there is a king, Gandharva king. Under him there are 360 very powerful Gandharvas. And from here, let's understand what does all these things mean. 1 year consists of 360 days. And the soldiers of Caṇḍavega here is mentioned represent these days. Time passes swiftly. Here that's why it is a Caṇḍavega. Vega means fast, Caṇḍavega. Time passes swiftly. Caṇḍavega's powerful soldiers of Gandharvaloka very swiftly carry away all the days of our life. As sun rises and sets, it snatches away the balance of our lifespan. Thus, as each day passes, each one of us loses some of life's duration. It is therefore that the duration of one's life cannot be saved. Ayur harati vai pumsam udhyat astam cha yan aso. The conclusion is that if one wants to make himself immortal, he should give up sense gratification. By engaging oneself in devotional service, one can gradually enter into the eternal kingdom of God. And Vega had not only male 360, they also had female Gandharvis. And all of them repetitively plundered all the paraphernalia for sense gratification. You know, there is days and nights, 360 days and 360 nights. uh, and that's how year after year our lifespan is getting reduced. When King Chandavega and his followers began to plunder the city of Puranjana, a snake with five hoods began to defend the city. And what are these five hoods? Prana, these are airs, vital airs in our body. Prana, Apana, Vyana, Udana, Samana. When the body is inactive, the prana or life air is active. Up to the age of 50, one can actively work for sense gratification, but after 50 years, one's energy decreases. Although one can, with great strain, work for 2 or 3 more years, perhaps up to 55 years. Thus, the 55 years is generally taken by government regulation as final year for retirement. Anyway, the government is having their own problems of taxations, of pensions and everything. That's why they encourage, okay, if someone lives longer, let them work longer. Sa saptabihi sater eko. And then what happened? The five-hooded serpent fought with Gandharvas for 100 years, which means for one's lifespan is how much? 100 years. He fought alone with all of them, although they numbered 720. So, in this way, 360 days, 360 nights, combined 720 soldiers. One has to fight these soldiers throughout one's lifespan, beginning from birth and ending with death. Uh, and Krishna is saying, he opened the eyes to Arjuna, saying, Najayate mriteva kadachin. If we know that we are not body, no problem. But if we think that we are body, there is a problem. That's why Krishna is telling, Najayate mriteva kadachin. There is no time that you are dead. Nayam bhutva bhavitava na bhuya. Ajo nityam shashvatoyam purano nahanyate hanyamane sharire. He's saying, neither the body, the soul, he is not slain when body is slain. There is no problem. Despite all this, the living entity, due to illusion, thinks that he is well situated in sense gratification. Huh. And then what happened to Puranjana? He became weak because he had to fight alone with so many soldiers, all of whom were great warriors. The serpents with five hoods became very weak. Seeing that his most intimate friend was weakening, King Puranjana and his friends and citizens living within the city all became very anxious. And what does that mean? The limbs of the body, all the friends, yeah, all the limbs of the body are supporting us, so they are counted as friends, which are referred here as citizens and friends. One can struggle alone with many soldiers for some time, but not for all time. uh, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, Vridda Kala Aula Sabasukha Bhagala. When one becomes old, it becomes impossible to enjoy material happiness. So, meditation, however, is simply anyway. This is saying one would like to go for meditation, but that's real. No, that's not really meditation. If one wants just to increase lifespan, to relax, no. Such meditation is defeated by struggle for existence. Even if one is doing meditation to expand his life, still death is death. King Puranjana, the living entity, being thus victimized by hard struggle for existence, took took to transcendental meditation with his friends and relatives. And Saeva Puryam Madhubhuk. Madhubhuk. In this way, he was enjoying and then collected taxes in the city of Panchal and thus was able to engage in sexual indulgence. What does that mean here? The- Oh, Charva. This is again philosophical. If one wants, they can. This is the philosophy of those who are too much materially addicted. Such philosophizing will not save one. So Charvak Siddhant, yeah, when was it? Yeah, Charvak was in the Ramayana time, and he was telling to Rama, hey, what are you telling all this, Ram? Let's go back to Ayodhya. Bharat is anyway calling you back. Don't think about breaking the vow of your father, yeah? To be in the forest. No, all these things, happiness, distress, sin, pleasure, pain, everything is in this world. There is nothing next life. So that kind of things, so that one can do anything. Charvak recommends that man should live very opulently by either begging, borrowing, or stealing. He also maintained that one should not be afraid of death and the next life, past life, or empires. All these things, forget about them. This is sometimes philosophy. People like it. Huh? And then, hmm, at this time, the daughter of formidable time was seeking her husband throughout the three worlds. And meanwhile, what happened? Okay, one sec. What is time now? Just want to see what's time. Okay, let's stop here. I think, yeah, rather than running hurriedly, let's cover the remaining purports tomorrow, if that's okay. Yeah, because too much info, I think. Also, we need to digest a bit, meditate on that, appreciate the beauty of this chapter. So I'll stop here. Thank you very much. पंचकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ताई गौर प्रेम। हरे कृष्ण।